well, here I am, right?
Yeah, I
so,
love fun surprises. I love the chaos of
yeah.
life, and I don't take things too seriously. I frankly just think Dark Viper takes a lot of things way too seriously. Okay, and he's not going to understand a lot of these commentators because they have a more chillax thing.
And to an extent, I would agree with you. I do think that he does take quite a few things seriously. But in that comment that got deleted, one of the things I pointed out was what I had said, kind of trying to say it word for word here, but from memory was, how would you feel if I took one of your videos and re-uploaded it in its entirety, only pausing occasionally? Because you had made this statement that in another comment that Dark Viper wishes for his stuff to, or hopes that his stuff would be seen at the same level of Lord of the Rings. When he made that analogy or that metaphor to Lord of the Rings, if he paused only
Yeah,
throughout
that's
it,
me being a little bit of a shit lord, but fair
and
enough, fair enough.
and accepting that you agree, that you're admitting that, like, fair enough. And I don't think that he wants the general community, the general population, to see his work as important to the Lord of the Rings. But something I said in that comment was like, and no offense to you, by no means, no offense to you, but
Oh,
you
call me all
you
the slurs you want to. Oh,
no,
well,
no, no,
actually
no,
not.
no,
TOS,
that's
okay.
yeah, right, right,
I'm
right.
fine with blood
But
sports or civil debate.
yeah,
Okay.
that's
I'd rather have
not
a
where I'm
civil
going.
debate.
Yeah, but stating factually here, you don't make enough money off of YouTube for it to be your primary job, right? I'm assuming that you have another job outside of YouTube, right? Like, you've got a
Oh, I
good
make absolutely
followership.
no money at all. Okay.
Exactly. So for somebody like yourself, if I were to take one of your videos and to um re-upload it in almost its entirety, then you wouldn't really care either way, because it's not really like your life marches on otherwise, right? Like
Yeah.
you carry on regardless. Whereas with somebody in Dark Viper's perspective, don't get me wrong, Dark Viper has a lot more money than I will ever see, right? like he makes a living doing one of the easiest jobs in the world. I won't deny that. And no matter what, like, Hassan Abi says, of it's a socially, emotionally draining job, I don't give a fuck about that shit. It is an easy job compared to what I do. I'm a farmhand, so I'm 7 days
Yeah.
a week. I'm up with the crack of dawn, busting my ass, right? That kind of thing.
Uh,
For a
yeah.
quarter of the money that these guys make.
Yeah.
But so when somebody is to wrap this back around, when somebody is to take what he has spent time making, whether they pause throughout or not, can we agree that if in my video I show the entirety of your video, that I have crossed some moral plane there that makes that wrong?
It really depends on the perspective because I'm probably too much of a. I do understand why Chud does what he does because sometimes you miss some things. I really think his editor should cut down some of the stuff. I would need to see the actual video, okay? But it definitely,
Fair.
it's calling it a watch party is just really what's annoying me, okay? I
How so?
the audience because the audience is there for Chud. They wouldn't watch Dark Viper's video if they were on their own, okay? They're there to watch him, either prod him, get his opinion on it. I mean, I can understand there are some things that are actually really more like watch parties, probably like EFAP or other things have more sort of elements like a watch party. I just don't think it falls into the category because there is an element of comedy and criticism to it. You don't have to like the comedy or criticism or even understand it, but it does transform it. And I can understand why someone like Dark Viper would not see that distinction. And I absolutely understand why Hassan and all these sort of rich guys just with la di da di da attitude. But it just seems like it's crossing the line in my book, and it seems like a lot of people in commentary sees it as a low blow because he doesn't want to accept the fact that he tries to obfuscate, use really stupid comparisons or extreme examples like the turtle with a hat. It just probably just rubs people the wrong way when you use such what they would consider disingenuous comparisons. But
Yeah. And I can see where you're coming from, but something, what you said there is that they're watching for the commentary, for the comedy, whether you like it or not. Is that not part of a watch party, right? Like, part of a watch party is to watch a certain piece of media with with other individuals. And the analogy, the metaphor that Dark Viper brings up a lot, and like, I won't lie, as much as I don't suck this dude's dick, like, when he's wrong on stuff, I'm like, hey
Hey, I'm
man,
not going
that's
to
a
judge
bad
you if
thing.
you suck dick, okay? I don't judge.
Fair enough. But like, I won't lie. I mean, I admit I like watching movies more when I'm with friends, because we can pause it, be like, hey, like, I'm a huge gun nut, right? So like, when I'm watching an action movie and there's something wrong with guns, my girlfriend hates me for it, I point it out, I talk about it. Like, I enjoy that. But even when there's commentary and comedy involved, it still is a watch party, because it is a group of people coming together to watch a piece of content, right?
Yes,
And
but you're there for the content, and just a sort of discussion around it is a bonus for the group. A lot of people go in for Chud. Probably a little bit hard to understand. They don't care what he's talking about. They don't care what sort of a video he's watching. Some people want the drama. Some people want the lolcow stuff. Some people want the rape reviews crap. Okay.
real quick, but like, I'm gonna let you keep going, but let's be civil about this. Like, there's no need to say this may be hard to understand. Like, I'm trying to come to you. I'm not
Yeah. Yeah.
thinking that you're an idiot.
Okay.
I'm talking intellectual to intellectual here, because the video you
We're
made, whether I agree with it or not, had a level of research that shows an intellectual capability.
okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. Sometimes
And I get emotions
I'm
get
at
it, and I get that. My comments definitely let
there's also a
emotions get in.
performance element that I've probably fall into. This is why I have this sort of pattern. I'll do something, a stupid little video, and then I'll follow it up with a stream. Okay, if it seems a worthy topic. I've done this with EFAP before. I've done it with a bunch of topics,
Mhm.
and I'm trying to improve my ability and try to get people to talk. That that's sort of my focus
I
with
get you.
what I'm trying to do here. Okay, I want people to open their mind, and I really wish someone like Dark Viper would genuinely drop this. I'm right. I'm right. I'm right, and willing to discuss this with someone who disagrees with him. Okay, he seems to have a very resilience to that, and I understand. The he's definitely pissed off with the 14 page thing. Okay, I would piss me off also, but
Well, and I I think the other side of it is, like, if I did not, like, I was gonna head to bed if I did not think, oh, I wonder if Vincent is still streaming and hop in here. I wouldn't have talked to you either. Like, our conversations would have ended with the comment section, right? Because it would have been
yeah,
like I mentioned, like, life moves on, man. I got other stuff, right? But like,
yeah,
he tried to. Per his words, I'll say per his words, he tried to talk to XQC. XQC backed out, saying his fan base was put him in physical danger, which I think we can both agree that that was kind of uh,
yeah.
uh
That's over the top. It's as
yeah.
toxic as I think big YouTubers like Dark Viper. And trust me, even though I'm like I make jabs, your audience is toxic. Look at my dislike ratio. Okay, I'm fine with that sort of a audience doing that. I'm rather casual with that, but you should admit to it that you're probably encouraging that in a sort of indirect way. And also, just to understand it, he should understand psychology better than me, but he doesn't seem to, or at least it doesn't come across within the content he does.
So do you think that a part of that may be, and again, like I said, I don't want to come in here with insults, but do you think that maybe part of that, because he has studied that in school, and trust me, I'm no fool that school may teach the wrong way, but depending on political influence, or economic influence, that, like, there's censorship in schools and all that, and the changes the message, like, all that aside, do you think that it may be some level of Dunning-Kruger effect, where you perceive that he maybe doesn't understand human psychology as well, but he actually perceives it at a higher level in the way that you may be ignorant in because you haven't studied it. You know what I mean?
Well, I have actually studied it. I don't have a
Oh, have you?
BA, I have an AA, so I'm not quite as at his level, but I mean, when I saw him, I did my research. He had his sort of
Right.
pseudo debate with Destiny, talking about some interesting things. I just I find it weird. As I pointed out in my video, I want to know what sort of ethical framework he works with. Do you know what sort of ethics he works with?
Well, I think that, and so I'll tell you right now, I don't study psychology. I'm currently in college right now for criminalistics, and so part of that does have to do with a little bit of psychology, but something we talk about
Yeah.
very deeply is ethics versus morality, and the
Yeah.
most generally agreed upon description difference between the two is ethics is implied by society, morality is internal, right? I have a moral compass, but ethics are what society expects of right and wrong. You following? So I think
Yeah.
just what ethical grounds Dark Viper stands on is a little bit different than saying, hey, what's his moral standing? Because ethical grounds, he doesn't really decide. That is a societal uh, construct, and saying that word makes me sound like some fucking conspiracy theorist. But like all things,
No, it's just
well,
a
yeah.
sorry. It's a even if he's not. People were triggered. I was saying the Marxist sort of mindset for
That was
him.
something I commented on too.
Okay, it's not an insult. I'm not trying to call him a commie, but he's sort of. I legitimately think that the framework, it's both a right and left thing. It's a tool that's used by everyone who's sort of going around. It's a very effective tool. Yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, not get into the details. I went over it. Why I think that has influenced him to at least a decent degree when it comes to content creation. But I'm fine
Well,
with people disagreeing with me on that.
yeah, and I actually, that's one of the things I want to talk about is that you mentioned that he has a very classist view of things, right? And I felt like in your video you didn't elaborate enough on that and how his view is classist. When it's more, or I'll say this, how I perceive his view, because I do listen to his rambles on this stuff because it just makes good stuff to listen to when I'm driving to work, right? Like it's less class than anything, but going to the Chud Logic thing is something he said is, I don't care if he pulled the cure for cancer out of his ass. It was my content in there, in the same way that me, who has like my YouTube channel, I used to post videos like just clips and shit. I have like what, 4 subscribers. If I were to
Mhm.
post something and you were to take it and re-upload it or vice versa, I would have the right. That is my product, right? Like I would have the right, regardless of class. I'm not a big YouTuber like Hassan Abi. I'm not a B-list YouTuber like Dark Viper. Like
Yeah, I
I don't
agree.
fall in
He
those
has the right to
classes.
sort of. I'm not saying he's necessarily a classist. It's a weird sort of.
Hmm.
This is one of the weirdest sort of adaptions of it that I think I've come across. It's more about the creative mindset versus those who are lazy and getting rich. Okay, workers versus the rich bourgeoisie. It's a weird adaptation of it, but I think it does sort of stem from that. But what you were saying about if I took a video of yours and just uploaded it with no commentary at all, you have absolutely the right to strike me, DMCA me, perfectly fine. You could even take me to court. But if I was to put commentary into it, like if I took you made like a 10-minute video, like dick sucking Dark Viper and something. This is just theoretical now, okay?
Right.
And I'm like, you guys, this is where your flaw is. You have a stupid head and blah blah blah. Hypothetical commentary. You still would have the right, but there's also a sort of social faux pas that definitely Dark Viper does not seem to engage with very well. Sorry, you
Yeah.
just
So like,
as I
go
said,
ahead. I
I'm
don't
not
want to
calling
interrupt
him
you.
an autist. I've dealt with someone I actually had someone take a video and turn a 45-minute video of mine into 4-hour video
Oh my gosh,
a
that's like
while ago.
every frame's a pause type shit.
Yeah, this guy's been on the show. He got on being a victim, okay, some other person, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, so
Video's down now.
I'll bring this up with you. Are you familiar with the pile of sand paradox? And if not, I'll explain.
Okay,
But
please do
if
explain. I think
yeah,
it's
so
not the Bill and Ted. Twitch is
no,
destined
no,
to win.
no.
Okay,
So
I didn't think so.
if we walk out on the beach and I grab a handful of sand and I'm holding it in my palm, would you you would classify that as a mound of sand, right? A pile of sand, right? And I remove one grain and I ask you, would you classify this as a pile of sand? And I remove another grain, right? At what point is it no longer a pile of sand? And then you invert that, right? I start with one grain of sand and I add another. Is that a pile of sand? And I add, now I've got 3 grains. Is that a pile of sand? So now take that idea and extrapolate that to what you had said, where if you were to just take my video, re-upload it with not a single change to it, that is 1 grain of sand, right? You would not consider that a transformative content. You would not consider
No.
that new content. So at what point, what amount of pauses and content added, what amount of talking over the video? You see where I'm going? Right? At what point do you consider that fair use versus not fair use? And I think that, and especially this kind of gets into my uh, field of study, in that when we talk about laws, there is no way to cover, like, the reason we have courts, the reason we have judges and Supreme Court, assuming you're in the US, the Supreme Court and all that, is because we can't write laws to cover every base, right? So could you say a statement to cover every base of content? You need to add X amount of minutes of content per Y amount of minutes used from somebody else's content. You know what I mean? Like, at what point do you consider it stealing? At what point do you consider it transformative? And there's no real answer to that, because, well, if it's a 1 hour video, or in your case, if it's a 45-minute video and I take it to 4 hours, I think the big point that Dark Viper tries to make is that it is market substitution. If I went and watched
It
Chud
can't be market substitution. That would, if that is, that's stupid, because Chud's VOD, even his stream and the video, would not be a market substitution for his.
How so?
The only, you wouldn't watch it for the same purpose. Why would you watch a Dark Viper video just to make fun of it with?
But I think the point that
criticize it.
you may be missing out on here, if I'm understanding you correctly, is if I watch Chud Logic's video in factually stating, this is factual statement. If I watch Chud Logic's video, there is not 1 second, literally 1 second of Dark Viper's video that I would not have seen. Sure, it would have been broken up, but there is not a single bit of information that I would not have already seen. Therefore, I would not go and watch Dark Viper's video, because I had already seen every single second, literally every single second of it in Chud's video. How is that not a market substitution?
Well, it's not a market substitution because of the intent of the audience. Yeah, you would have to go into. It's really impossible to tell. I'll give you that much credit. It's really impossible to tell. There might actually be some people who would see Chud's video and would want to see, without Chud's commentary, what Dark Viper. It can work both ways, because commentary can work both ways. Like, is Chud just being an asshole, really taking the piss out of him? It can really work. The sword cuts both ways in a particular case. And yeah, I just really don't think it would serve as a market substitute. But I can understand, since all the pieces are there, how you could make a case for that.
And that's the case that Dark Viper pushes, is that if you go and watch Chud's video, there is none of Dark Viper's video that you haven't seen. even if you don't watch Dark Viper's videos first. Now, had Chud watched that video off of stream, like I know Moist Critical, Penguin Zero, Charlie, got in a huge argument with Dark Viper, and Charlie admitted, hey, I had made a mistake here. I shouldn't have done this, and defended the points that he still felt strongly about. And there was an agreement there. And there was a very large shift in Penguin Zero's content that anytime somebody says, hey, you should watch this, he writes it down, watches it off stream so that he can then, again, something else that Dark Viper preaches, talks about a lot, is that watch it off stream so that you can talk about it with an informed opinion. Because when you watch something, if I were to record my opinion to your a Viper comes for the Chuds video, half the shit that I have had all day to think about and talk about with my girlfriend and kind of develop through wouldn't have happened because I wouldn't have had the time to think on it. I wouldn't have had the time to research and stuff. And so by watching a video outright on stream for the first time like Chud did, it is an uninformed opinion because you don't. If I watch 5 minutes and I say something, there's no telling that the next 30 or so minutes or whatever, in your case 15 16 minutes left, I don't know if you're going to address that later, right? And so
I definitely have the same criticism. I would have the same criticism for evap, and I have in certain circumstances, but just because I don't like the practice, there's also just the genuine first time encounter is sometimes a part of the experience, taking someone off guard. And yeah, maybe it doesn't need to be there the first time. And there is times when if he has no commentary, if he starts watching something, he likes it or just really can't stand it, he'll turn it off. Okay. And if people tell him don't pause to give commentary, he'll give them pushback. Like, this is my freaking stream. Don't you freaking chatters tell me what it is. It's just a different, I think it's a different in philosophy. I think it is probably a bad mindset a lot of the Twitch people have instilled in them, and also probably a bad mentality that commentators have also, because they follow the same thing, but there is a purpose to it. The raw actions is what they're known for.
Yeah, and I don't think we'll disagree that we're both working men, right? I think hopefully I'm not assuming, we're both working men, and I do manual physical labor for a living, and that takes a toll on my body. If someone were to come in and somehow, obviously with physical labor, it's hard to draw an analogy, but if somebody were to, I work 9 hours a day to make $100 a day or whatever, right? And if somebody were to be able to take that product, take my work on that product, turn the same dollar for it for half the time, I would feel like I got cheated, especially if I still did that labor, right? And it's kind of why people, and as much as I disagree with it, that some people hate managerial positions. It's like, oh, you get paid more, but you don't do shit. I'm the one doing the hard work, shit like that. And it's like, well, they do have their own position, right? And so when you take that and put it into the content creation sphere, and something that I said in that comment that YouTube deleted was that you made a 21-minute video. We'll round up, we'll call it 22 because it's 21:38, right? So we'll call it a 22-minute video. That took you 5-6 hours in video editing and script writing and research, probably more than that, probably much more than that. But if in 25 minutes, right, I sit there and I watch and I pause a few times to talk about it, you would feel cheated, because somebody could watch my video and they would have seen the entirety of your video that you put 6, 8, 10, 12 hours of work into. That is a labor of love item. And in that same, in a 16th amount
I do
of the
understand
time,
both you and Dark Vipers. I think it's rather black and white sort of thought, and not understanding the sort of social contract that a lot of YouTubers. Dark Viper's in a different community. Okay, fair enough. I really don't like how he's trying to redefine the watch party, because I really think that is a abuse of language. That's probably actually what ticked me off the most. And the sort of way, like with the Nacrit video, that really annoyed me. Nacrit was clearly trying to use React content to sort of promote his own brand, and I really didn't like that video. His Hassan video, most of his videos, fine. That Nacrit video just pissed me the hell off. Okay.
So how do you think that, and not an attack, just wanting to understand, how do you think the Dark Viper is trying to change the definition of watch party? Like, can you give me just an outright, here's why I think what he's doing is wrong?
Yeah, you probably weren't around for that. I brought out the particular sort of example I had is a watch party. It's a group of people coming together. But I don't think we'll agree on this because the intent of most people who watch people like Chud, both on stream and his VODs afterward, are there for Chud. They wouldn't have watched half the people they do if it wasn't for for Chud Logic in this particular case. Okay, but it's just a different in perspective. It's about, and Dark Viper doesn't seem to accept this sort of a utility of someone. And I can understand with some people like XQC, Hassan, with all that shit. There's even a case for Asmongold in a lot of ways. He's a little bit better. Same thing with, it's like a spectrum to me. Okay. There's people trying to do better, trying to not totally be total leeches. And
so with that, you know, and I think that you and I would both agree that when Hassan puts on a YouTube video and goes to the bathroom or goes and gets food, that's fucking wrong. Like I think you and I can okay. So let's talking specifically about the Chud Logic situation. What you said there is the majority of the people there are there for Chud. So then why, if true, which I mean probably is true, why does Chud need that video right there for a first reaction instead of waiting a day, wait till he ends stream, watches the video, and writes out a script and actually does some work to make sure that his opinion is informed, right? So, like,
I mean, care about informed opinion. It's just really weird. He goes with gut instinct, just off the cuff bullshit. This is what he's really known for. It gets him in trouble a lot. He'll go back and clarify his position sometimes. Okay. He has probably the most offensive editor out there because a certain amount of controversy, like even with Dark Viper, his certain amount of controversy, probably as much as he hates to admit, it's probably gotten him some viewers, some people who want to see him go after these reactors. And I can understand that.
Yeah, and so, you know, you're saying that, oh well, it's not a watch party because the people are there for Chud.
Yes,
it is still a watch party. Well, it is still a watch party though, because it is a group of people who are there watching another person's content, right? It doesn't matter the intent of the people there. That is the facts of what they are doing. It doesn't matter if total extreme example.
I also
here,
see
right?
it as
it
ethical.
doesn't matter.
I also see it
let
as
me
sort
finish.
of
Let me finish here, please. It doesn't. It's like total extreme example of this. If you win, or you know, just to make this in no way perceivable as an attack, if I went to a Nazi party rally, an Aryan Brotherhood rally, with the intent of laughing at them and shaming at them, to an extent, yes, my intent matters there, but on the other side of the coin, I still showed up. And if there's a fee to get in, I still paid them that fee, right? You know what I mean? It doesn't matter my intent of being there. I still was there. I still paid that fee, for example, right? And so when translating that now back into the content creation sphere, sure, maybe those people are there to listen to Chud's opinion, but if they're there to listen to Chud's opinion, then the video being there doesn't matter, right? And bigger than that, irregardless of their intent of being there, it is factually a group of people and they are watching somebody else's content.
Yeah, but it's also the sort of content. I would agree with you if it was a creative piece of work and not a sort of argument. Because there is a certain, why are you going to try to jump into this conversation about React content, but you almost don't engage everyone else who talks about React content? He really does sort of reduce their argument. And that's sort of their problem. I really do agree. People should try to understand his argument a little bit better. They'll probably think it's a little bit over the line. I agree with that. His argument is very black and white in nature. He does not want to sort of give any ground, and he will completely I think the term is straw man. He definitely comes across as straw man and like Jay thinking just by pausing it and commenting that transforms it.
Well,
I don't think that would be
I'm not
Jay's
sure
argument.
if straw man is the right term there. What do you?
Yeah.
What is
all
your
those logical
interpretation of that?
fallacies. It just seems like
I actually
missing the
have a
point.
poster behind me of a bunch of logical fallacies. It's
Okay. Yeah,
So-
they're always tricky to figure out.
they
I just
really
think
are. That's why I have a
if he-
poster.
I think Dark Viper, if he doesn't want people to sort of straw man, because I do agree, they meme on his argument because that whole consent thing he made how many years ago. But he's just doing the same thing in response when it comes to React content because they meme on him. Both sides need to fucking, I don't know, just like neither side seem to really try and engage with each other. And I'll admit the people that he does sort of rail on about, complain about, not understand his argument, I can understand that. And maybe you feel that my video was faulty in trying to understand where his ethics and logic came from and sort of my criticism of him, because I really think trying to get in the court case with someone like Chud Logic seems really cowardly to me. Has no one actually has no bigger streamer looked at one of his videos and sort of watched the whole thing?
Well,
I'm trying to figure that out.
I think the point of him mentioning going to court over it was, if you look back at Ethan Klein and H3H3, I mean, he went to court over a kind of tangentially similar case. And Dark Viper made it clear in his video, he doesn't want to go to court. He would lose money even if he won the case, and money isn't everything. I know that, but I think the point was so that there would be something that people could point to and say, hey, here is a court decision about watch parties. Right? Because the grounds that Dark Viper stands on now is all morality, because there isn't really a good, and again, this kind of gets into what I studied. There isn't a good court case talking about this kind of stuff. Content creation in the term of in the realm of legality in the U.S. legal code, and I understand Dark Viper is from Australia. I don't know where Chud is from. I don't know where you're from, but like, YouTube is a US-based company, and so for the most part, they follow US-based law. When there's not a court case, and it goes back to what I talked about as well, is like, you can't, I don't believe in black and white, I couldn't, being a criminal justice major, because like I said, you can't write a law covering every single fringe case, right? Like, and so black and white definitely isn't the way to go about it. And then, so I do disagree
that's
with
probably
Dark Viper there.
what irritates me, and how cocky he comes off as being stupid and calling people retarded. I understand a little bit of that super chatting things, super chatting it, try to.
But he's able to have that ground because he's not talking about legality. He's talking about morality. And like I said earlier, morality is an internal thing, whereas ethics is an external societal thing. And so when talking about morality, I mean, I'm sure in your life day to day, and in this call, you yourself have done it, and I myself have done it. It's something that we can't escape because morality is internal. We as an individual decide what we as an individual think is moral, right? I think certain things are immoral that other people don't see a problem with, and they see things as immoral that I don't see a problem with, right? And so that's kind of where he being Dark Viper here, gets the idea that, I can, for lack of better term, or actually, honestly, it's the spot on term, moral, like grandstand, right? Is I am right in my opinion because my opinion is based in my morals and I choose what my morals are, right? Like, I will agree that he does that, but I can't agree that I can't use that as a bad thing because every single person does that. What you
Yeah.
decide is moral, you judge other people on, whether you like to admit it or not. Everybody does. My girlfriend studied psychology and she got mad at me when I tried to argue this or against this. Uh,
Psychology
everybody
is a soft science.
It really is. She stopped studying it for a reason. But
There's a reason I didn't get a BA in it. Trust me. Okay. I'm like, it's good in theory, but careers in it, nope, not for me.
exactly. And so, the grandstanding there, and it was funny is the if I will say this out of personal experience, but not off of studying it, the most common word to precede grandstanding is moral. Moral grandstanding is a term that is thrown around a lot. And so when you talk about how you find it hard to understand or you find it hard to agree with Dark Viper when he says, "Oh, I'm right," so often, it's like, well,
I also can't stand the sort of collective mindset that he seems to be edging towards now. The collective good negates any individual case study because I'm essentially a liberal. I think, and a lot of people have a problem. You're willing to let an innocent man, you're willing to like let two guilty men go free if one innocent man can go free. It's that sort of the weighing of the scales. You would rather be honest with the truth and let bad things happen than sort of be dishonest for what you personally think is for the greater good. And I do understand he legitimately believes this is for the greater good. And I really wish someone could actually sit down and talk to him about it. But again, I'm not trying to use the term autistic as an insult. It's just how he comes across to me. And a lot of people are getting this way. Okay. They don't seem to understand social nuance, like the Willie Mack thing, him leaking that sort of DM. Like, oh, I only leaked Willie Mack. I knew it was Willie Mack told Chud. Chud might have actually been lying about that. Okay. Wouldn't that be funny about that?
I mean, and here's the thing: is you mentioned your political affiliation being more liberal leaning. I'm a libertarian. I believe in the.
It depends on which side of the libertarian spectrum you're on.
No, I would love to be left the fuck alone. I believe in small government. If you want to marry a dude, marry a dude. I don't fucking care. Leave everybody else alone, though, right? Like it's constitutional libertarian to be more exact. But I don't think the politics really plays a huge role in this because, like, I disagree that my thing is I am autistic. I am a high functioning autist. A lot of people don't realize this, but below a certain
And
IQ,
I
you're
have plenty
autistic.
of friends who
People
are
know this.
autistic.
Well, hold on, man.
And I have to tell them to shut up sometimes.
Let me finish.
I have to tell them to shut up sometimes. They go on.
I mean, like when you're talking, I let you talk. Just when I'm talking, let me talk. All right, like let's keep this civil. And so on the low end of the IQ band is autistic, but also on the high end of the IQ band is autistic. That's why we have the term high functioning autism. And so, and I'm not like the reason I brought up political affiliation is I don't fucking care. I don't get triggered by words, but I think that when you, and before I joined this call, you, as much as you don't want to admit it, you did use autistic shit